You want to go ahead and tweet it out?
Yeah, as soon as I can grab the URL, I'm going to tweet it to my 100 followers.
All right. Let me just check the stream, make sure that we are good to go. We should be live.
Yeah, I don't see it on your feed, but that's YouTube. It's probably going to take 30 seconds.
It's up.
Oh, this is odd. I still can't. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
Let me test the chat. Oh, Trash Fire's here.
Woo, I got a wrench. What's up? I'm going to beat people in the face with that big blue wrench.
All right. Well, now that we know the stream is up and we're ready to go, let's go ahead and start off this fun little hot debate that we're going to have with let's see here. Sorry. So, we have 3 guests on our show tonight, and this is going to be fun. We have Kevin from Rogue Deckbuilder.
Howdy, howdy.
We have Tara Sophia from Magical Tabletop Girls. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Hello.
And Desolator Magic.
Hello, everybody.
And how many streams have you done in, well, ever? Des?
Almost none. I believe I've been on Purples once, and that's it.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Our subject for today is going to be quite fun. And we're not... I really didn't... I wrote some notes to talk about some things, but, you know, I thought this would be a fun, open debate that we can all have about Modern, because I think... And, well, the boogeyman, Jace, the Mind Sculptor, coming back to Modern. And everybody is unhappy about it. So, let's go around the room and get everybody's first initial sort of comment. Could be 1, 2, 3 words, but keep it short on your thoughts about Jace the Mind Sculptor coming back. Kevin, you go first.
Wrong timing.
Desolator.
It's just yet another thing where if it hits the battlefield, your opponent loses, and if you stop it immediately, they go nowhere, and we don't need more of that in Modern.
Tara.
A scam to sell M25.
You know, I think it's a couple of interesting things going on about this whole Jace the Mind Sculptor thing. I've been seeing this coming for a very long time. Or at least I felt like it's been coming for a long time. I've thought about since Eternal Masters that, well, they're going to unban Jace soon. And I think they've had some articles posted at some point also talking about people were speculating in the Magic community, sort of the writers from Wizards and some other pros were starting to feel that Jace was going to be unbanned several months ago. We'll say like maybe 6 to 8 months ago, people were already talking about this. So for me, it didn't really become a surprise that this happened. Although I think it's very interesting, the timing, as Kevin pointed out, it's a really weird timing with Masters 25. Gotta sell packs, right? I mean, it's just one of those things that, you know, sometimes that happens. But let's go ahead and I want to start off. Kevin, you had some pretty interesting thoughts and words about on Twitter in regards to the timing of this, as you said, and just curious to hear more in depth what you think about the timing and all this, and why you think this is so bad for, you know, bad timing, I should say.
Well, even if it is a coincidence, a lot of people are saying, well, it just happened that way. They've been looking at since Eternal Masters. They've actually been looking at it longer than that. When's a good time we can unban Jace? When's a good time we can unban Jace? And now it actually looks like it's an okay time to unban Bloodbraid Elf. I still don't like Bloodbraid Elf because I think Bloodbraid Elf plays the RNG game, and I think the more that Magic can get away from variants, the better it is. And I think that's one of the original reasons that Bloodbraid Elf was banned to begin with, is it was either a blowout or your Bloodbraid Elf just hit something embarrassing. So, and it either won or lost the game based upon that cascade trigger. So I've never liked Bloodbraid Elf, and for that reasons, of course, I've never really liked Jace, if that's going to be the counter towards. But are they safe for Modern compared to some other degenerate stuff can they be done in Modern? Probably. I don't think it's going to really warp the format too much. Just as Des said, there's another deck that's annoying, another card that's going to be extremely annoying to play against. So, do they want to unban it? Have they wanted to unban it for a long time? Sure. I'll listen to that argument, but it's still the company's, I guess, duty to make sure that it happens in a time that it doesn't just try to push sales. There couldn't have been worse timing than literally the only thing they've spoiled from an upcoming master set is a card they're unbanning. I mean, come on. Talk about the integrity of the game just completely going down the drain there to try to say, like, what is the precedent this is sales? Oh, our sales are low? Our Iconic Masters sold like crap? Okay, so we need to unban a card to push sales? And who knows, this actually could warp Modern. So what do we do in 6 months? It's banned now. Now what does that look like? It just looks like that they just temporarily unbanned a card, push a master set, which to me is just like, there's nothing worse for like customer... well, just integrity of a company.
How about you, Tara? By the way, oh, what happened here? Did I lose you guys?
Uh-oh, is it just me or is the stream lagging?
Yeah, I think
Are
I
you
lost
there?
Chris too. There we go.
Okay, I'm not sure.
I'm watching it while uploading and something happened to the actual stream from YouTube. That's weird.
Okay, I think. All right, I think we're good. So I don't know if I lagged out there or not, but so I wanted to throw it over to Tara and get your thoughts. Sorry, I was looking at the chat there.
Yeah, I'm seeing Gally. Hey.
Bye, Gally. Miss you.
Basically, what Kevin said is I agree with 100%. Which, you know, is able to happen between me and him every once in a while. Despite what you may see on Twitter. I 100% agree. I think that Jace could have actually been unbanned, but just for a temporary trial. But the way I would have done it, if I was, you know, one of these bright-eyed people working at Wizards of the Coast, whom I hate tremendously, I would have done it about a month after M25, and I would have, like, kind of like as an emergency announcement, or just like, you know, get out the flying inflatable balloon man. It's like, hey everybody, by the way, thanks for buying M25. Just so you know, for the next few months, we're gonna try out Jace the Mind Sculptor in Modern after everyone's already bought the product.
That's a good point.
I think that then it would have been rewarding their most loyal customers, the people who came back to another Masters set after Iconic Masters, who came back after, I mean, I didn't buy any Iconic Masters because I got hosed on Modern Masters 2017. I bought 2 boxes and didn't pull a single Liliana and a single Goyf. Like, I lost over $100 on each of my Modern Masters boxes. It was horrible. I'm like, I'm never doing this again. $10 packs is ridiculous, and I've been advocating nonstop since then, and even before then, to go back to $6.99. But in reality, I'd like to see them at $5.99. I think that's the healthiest price at a pack that you could get to be the EV. I think that's what the true market price is. But all that aside, for people who got burned by, you know, 2017 like I did, or got burned by Iconic Masters and came back, reward those customers for actually buying the product, but don't gimmick. You know, I think MTG Purple said it best, is just they use the banned and restricted list as a advertisement to sell a set. That's the worst precedent they could ever have for the game.
Yeah, you make actually quite a few good points, and I'd like to circle back to that in a minute. Let's go ahead and I know Des, you're probably your voice is like resonating in my headphones. I think you're ready to say some things that are going to be like.
Oh,
really
did you see the video I just uploaded 5 minutes ago?
I did not, but go ahead.
Oh, it's titled something like "They did not unban Jace just to sell packs." Because they didn't. It's impossible. Okay, so the card went from $50 to $110 as of today. Okay, $50 was its price for the last 6 months, and $110 is the lowest you can buy it right now. So in a 249 card set as a Mythic, that adds $17.55 to the box EV, which is basically nothing. Now, people are going to say, yeah, but if it was $230, it brought it up to $247, so it went from not profitable to profitable, and $17 is more than the cost of a pack. But divided by 24, like it's not gonna be the difference between somebody buying a pack and somebody not, or somebody buying a box and somebody not. Now, if we were to take a bunch of $5 rares, just 5 of them, and replace them with the fetch lands, that would add $130 to the EV. It would take it from about a 270 level to 400. So the other thing is, they realized that Iconic Masters sold like crap, so they wanted to sell this one, and they knew this one was just as weak. Very conservative, very weak. Bad card choices, very low value. So they said, emergency, what do we do? Unban Jace. Well, not only were they talking about unbanning Jace for like the last 2 years, so it's not like it came out of nowhere, but also it basically comes down to like, what could they have done? So other people were saying, I know how much lead time they have on printing a set, and how much time they would have before they could say, okay, delete these 5 cards from the sheet and put these 5 cards on the sheet, or just take this $5 Mythic and throw in Snapcaster Mage instead in its place, or whatever. They could have done it for about 2 months after Iconic Masters just sold like crap and was worthless. So if they said, oh my god, we need to fix the next one, they would have about 2 months to say, okay, let's fix it. Let's reassess what cards are chosen for it and throw more value in it. So this is the least logical, most unusual way to sell packs, and it's only $17 difference. So it is completely impossible that was their motivation. And then why would they take the second most played format in the entire game and just screw it all up just to sell one set? I mean, that'd be shooting themselves in the foot for like Modern Masters 4. So it doesn't make sense to me. It just, nothing adds up about that. I think people are just saying that because they like to take a dump on Wizards.
Yeah, it's, I'm on the fence on a lot of these different points because I think everybody has like very solid points. But I think there's a couple of things that I think is a little fishy as Kevin says, is the timing of this just to sell packs. I mean, as I said in my video, like, although I don't know if that was the actual motivation of Wizards in this moment, it certainly looks that way, right? It's just one of those things that it's just set up that way. And I think, to Tara's point, I think unbanning Jace maybe some time after the set came out, I think is one of those things that I think could have made this look better, right? But I think even the timing of that would be kind of strange because then the boxes would then shoot up in price, and everybody could then be all up in arms about the boxes, then skyrocketing because, well, Jace the Mind Sculptor's in there and everybody wants them now. I don't know. It's just like, it's one of those things where it's a hot button issue because Jace is like, he's the boogeyman of Magic, right? He has been said in many videos, he just is one of those cards that people fear playing against. And well, I mean, if you think back of the days of Callblade, right? It's just not. It's at the time it was out, it was an oppressive card. But this leads me to my next question: is beyond the financial aspects of Jace being unbanned, how bad is Jace the Mind Sculptor actually going to be for the modern format? I've been kind of like keeping tabs on Twitter all day and sort of like looking at this and seeing what everybody's comments were, and you know, Tara, I liked your comment about fuck this game, because I think you know, them basically unbanning Jace was kind of a big black eye for a lot of people, right? And so I'd like to get you to expand more on your thoughts on how you feel about Jace coming back into the modern format.
Well, I, obviously for me, again, it's the timing. The premise that he's going to stick around, to me, is a joke. He is a format warping card, and that's why he needed to stay banned, in my opinion. Even though he could probably find a place in a healthy metagame in Modern right now because of all the other degenerate stuff is in there. And I know what cards Desolator wants banned, and I'm very inclined to agree with him. Because this is the thing, like when you have Kitchen Sphinx, and you have Arcbound Ravager still around with Ravager Affinity, when you have a turn 3 or 4 win with Saheeli Ra, what is Jace? You know, when you have that type of decks in the meta, the problem is that people net deck, and net decking is haram. And what's going to happen is, if Jace takes the Pro Tour, then all the net deckers will jump back on the Jace train. Jace goes up to over $200, even with a reprint, and that's all you see. It's going to be like Lantern Control and blue-black Jace the Mind Sculptor decks, because now we've got Fatal Push, so, you know, you're going to see, like, blue-black with, like, Inquisition to Close the Lack and Thoughtseize, and it's just going to be, like, I either discard everything out of your hand, counter everything out of your hand, I drop Jace, this game is over. And it's going to be the most boring thing to play against, like, since back in the day, when you, like, turn 1 Hypnotic Spectre and turn 2 Hymn to Turek. It's just going to suck. And even though, technically, okay, yeah, but if you tap out for Jace, I cast Felidar Guardian and I win the game, that is possible in this current meta. So, how big of a deal is it really? To me, it's just, you know, F this game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. How about I know, Des, you have quite a few strong opinions about this, but I mean, and I saw your video about the and I swear it's got to be a trolling video. I have to ask you, the one drop video, was that a trolling video?
What? No. Mental Misstep needs to come back. It shuts down 6 cards that everybody hates and rebalances the game. Instead of just somebody in their all-in combo is going to now beat me, now they have to earn it. They have to have redundant win conditions and play a real deck and play actual Magic. I mean, Mental Misstep is so narrow and so specific, in an average game you won't even get to play it. I mean, my only problem with it is, okay, Phyrexian mana, and it doesn't have to go in a blue deck. It would be much nicer if it went in a blue deck, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Mental Misstep hits a lot of things. I mean, it hits. I mean, there's Death Shadow. There's anything elves. There's there's just a ton of things that it hits, right? And
but the deck can come back. I mean, all you did was cost them 2 or 3 turns. Like, their deck can come back, except for Death Shadow. But it's not my fault that they need 1 card to win the game.
Mental Misstep is the biggest combo enabler ever printed in Modern.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what people are saying is, you could use it to cover your combo, but that's not quite true, because it won't stop a negate, it won't stop a disallow.
Yes, you just don't have any experience playing in competitive Magic. That's when you analyze cards. It just comes off as knowing you've never played a competitive level. That's
nobody
why it was
gives
banned.
a shit about competitive Modern, because nobody plays competitive Modern. People play at the LGS level, where only about half the people are net decking in Modern.
So the 16,000 people, the entire #PayThePros drama, there's no one in the universe that gives a crap about competitive play.
I'm just talking about attendance at a GP. Who's literally going to go physically play competitive Magic, and who's going to pretend they're playing. Yeah, it's like, what, 500, 1,000 people? That's compared to 20 million? That's not a lot.
Well, I think average attendance, I mean, other than Texas, is roughly between 12 and 1,800 people, just depending on how big the GP is.
Yeah, that's not very much. I mean, if you put Mental Misstep back in, everybody's saying, oh, but it would help cover a combo. No, because then you have to have the combo, the land, and the Mental Misstep in your hand. That's maybe 8% chance of that happening. I mean, I go by probability and math. That's it. I don't care about anything other than that because that's real. You know, I don't care about history. I don't care about what some idiot pro said on Twitter. I care about math and reality, and you're not always going to have that card in your hand. In fact, if you don't mulligan 7 cards out of 60, 7 shots at it, plus your first turn, you have a 48% chance of pulling a 4 of in your deck. Not even 50-50. You won't even see the card in every single game. You won't even see it in every other game. So to say, oh, people are going to have Death Shadow and a Lightning Bolt and a Mental Misstep in their hand and enough land. No, not unless they're cheating and stacking their deck. I mean, it's all these theoretical, wacky scenarios that would never happen. Like, never.
But there's ways to do that with Opt or Serum Visions or whatever. Yeah. I mean, there's ways to dig for it. I mean...
Mental Misstep just wouldn't... No one even put that in Infect to protect their all-in Infect. Wouldn't happen.
Well, what if I use a 2-cost spell to stop their Infect deck? I mean, not everybody runs Fatal Push.
Well, there's a reason people would run Fatal Push. It's 1 mana. There's these little nuances of Modern of why cards see play and why they don't. It's one of the biggest new players' mistake is when they evaluate something like Murder and then look at, oh, Murder's 3 mana and Doomblade's 2. Well, Murder kills everything, so it must be better than Doomblade. But in reality, Doomblade is 1,000 times better than Murder because that 1 mana means everything. Going back to math, that's why 7 to 8 is unplayable in Limited. 7 is statistically probable. You get up to 8 mana is statistically unprobable to put it in a Limited deck. Just that little simple mana cost. I mean, it's magic for you. There are cards like Mental Misstep that are absolutely were terrors on the format because they actually enabled these all-in combos or these heavy control-based decks to be able to have the perfect answers at every perfect turn.
So you're saying every combo deck that's competitive in Tier 1 right now, or even Tier 2, they need to also now have Mental Misstep in their hand.
They would just run it because it gets rid of so many things that stops their combo. So why wouldn't they? Then this would make the opponents have something to answer their Mental Misstep.
Because if it's in their hand, then it replaces a card from the deck. Then they don't have their combo. Like, oh, look, I got a Mental Misstep, but I don't have my combo. To get the combo off, you need Opt and Serum Visions.
So you're arguing Force of Will shouldn't be played in every Legacy deck.
I don't know shit about Legacy or Vintage. Okay, it's not even real Magic.
You wouldn't know anything about how Mental Misstep would happen to Modern.
Yes, I do, because I actually play Modern. I actually follow it.
Where would we go with the Jace thing?
So, I knew this was going to be spicy. Okay, so this is... all right, let's get back to Jace really quick in the Modern meta. And this is where I think I differ from everybody else. I think, Kevin, you're slightly on the agreements of this. I don't think Jace is going to warp the Modern format. Yes, is he going to be a pain? Of course. Is he going to cause issues, and is the meta going to change? Yes, because I think we go to more of a turn 3 format versus going longer game, and control becomes a lot stronger. But I think a couple of things that happen then is combo gets weaker. So things like Storm. Let's see what else. Storm, Dredge, Living End, Valakut, Ad Nauseam. Like those kind of combo decks get slightly weaker, and I think mid range gets weaker, but aggro, taller aggro, gets a little bit better. I guess where I'm getting at is a lot of people talk about, well, the Modern format sucks right now, and here's some interesting stats that I wanted to throw out there. If anybody has looked at this stuff recently, the Modern meta currently consists of about 18 decks with 10 or more showings within tournaments recently. 9 decks with 20 or more showings and 6 decks with 30 or more showings. So we're talking about 22 different decks that could be played in the Modern format right now, right? I mean, when's the last time that you've seen Modern being able to being able to go to a tournament, a top tier tournament, and play any 22 decks available in that you can play? Like,
yeah, it's about time. I've been waiting for that forever.
It hasn't happened like this in quite some time.
I would still argue, though, you have a narrowness of archetypes you can play. Just because there's 10 different ways to do a degenerate combo is still a degenerate combo. Just because there's 10 different ways to play an attrition deck, it's still an attrition deck. I would say even the standard with its 6 decks was more diverse than Modern is now. Just rehashing a deck by a different win condition that plays literally the exact same way isn't necessarily a different deck. That's just my only. That's why I bowed out of Modern, just because for the last 2 years it's been riddled with that. It just doesn't seem like they have a really good formula to have a more skill-based play in Modern. And Jace is going to be the absolute worst for this, because it's going to force everyone should go watch. Oh man, am I promoting LSV?
Don't do it. Don't do it, Kev.
Everyone should go watch LSV's video that he posted today for Channel Fireball, because it's spot on with the direction of Modern, where this is going to push Modern. Now, the turn 4, turn 5 mid-range decks that started to be able to compete with some of these other attrition-based decks, so like going over the top of robots or going over the top of Death Shadow, are now going to become obsolete because they cannot compete with Jace. So what this is going to happen is we're going to be back to the turn 3, and that we don't give a crap what our opponent's doing. We're just going to try to be as degenerate as possible before Jace hits the battlefield. And Jace is particularly open towards that, because if you rely on your 4-drop to be your finisher, it's going to make you have to play a lot of control in the early game, and then that's going to leave you open to a variety of different ways that attack the battlefield, that either can go through particular control decks or just establish too much power for the control to where Jace is just not relevant. But what that ends up doing, though, is we're never going to see like a Siege Rhino Abzan deck. It's not going to happen.
No.
Because of Jace.
And I agree.
Yeah, once he hits the battlefield, it's over, and everybody knows it.
Yeah,
and
it was
the only
annoying.
solution is a sideboard, and your sideboard is kind of valuable in Modern because of the variety. So it's like, if you need to stop a bunch of other Tier 1 decks, you need that room in your sideboard. You don't need a bunch. I mean, Jace, he can die to a lightning bolt, like whatever. So what? You can stop him. Negate can stop him. So what? Do I want to put that in my sideboard? No.
That's it. It's also, lightning bolt doesn't kill Jace.
No.
Because how the loyalty works, the loyalty immediately goes on not on the stack. It's immediately part of the cost.
What? I thought all abilities were sorcery suite. So he enters the battlefield with 3, and then you lightning bolt him. They can't respond.
Nope.
Have I been playing that wrong this entire time?
It goes to 4. Loyalty is part of an activation. It immediately goes up and goes up to 4 in lightning bolt. I mean, this is something that all of us that played back during Jace, you couldn't lightning bolt a Jace, because lightning bolt was legal, right? Was it M12, M11?
I thought it was 2010.
I think it's 2010. Yeah.
Is it 2010? Is the last printing of?
Let me look right now.
But I'm going to drop this on you guys. I didn't talk about it in my Shiny Tuesday video today. What's going to happen with the Planeswalker redirection rule change coming up with Jace?
Didn't they scrap it? Like, I know they put it on the back burner. It just seems like it's a miserable... I don't think that they should change anything. They should just go forward. Just balance spells to do it only towards... If they only want it to go towards a creature or a Planeswalker, start wording it like they've been doing. They're too far into the game to be revising the rules like that. It's going to be a mess.
As far as I understand, it's still happening based on the conversations that I've had with some judges that I know.
Oh, that's terrible. I just don't want to get out a damn smartphone to see what the card really says.
Yeah, they have to
this affects like 1,000 cards. I mean, it's absurd. And it's completely arbitrary.
Consistent. They're not consistent with their errating. Look at some of the dark cards. I was trying to put a card in my deck because I thought for sure they errated it to each opponent. And for whatever reason, like, you can put 2 cards side by side that are worded the exact same, and one of them they've errated to say each opponent, and then another one they've errated to say target opponent, because this is back during the dark where it didn't say target, so it just said opponent type thing. and most of those got errata to each opponent since it didn't target. I'm like, okay, so where is this? Why'd they decide to errata it that way and this one not that way? So we're going to see the same. It's just going to be a massive headache. I wish they'd just scrap that entire idea and just live with the fact that they created it so that damage can be redirected to Planeswalkers. And if they didn't want spells in the future to do to be able to be redirected to Planeswalkers, they can put that maybe in. It does it to target. I don't know. It's going to be messy.
They're literally going to have to do Planeswalker targeting masters, because I need a card that's accurate as written. So if the card never was accurate and I don't know what it says, and you're not allowed to get out a Sharpie and correct it on your card, then I'm going to need a corrected version. So they're going to have to do like red damaging spells masters, which will be the worst selling masters ever.
They'll just hand out like post-it notes, right? So you could just errata it yourself and put it right on the card.
Didn't they did something with stickers. I think it was when they invented the tap symbol or something. I don't know. Somebody told me that back in the day they did something with little stickers that you could stick on the cards, and it wasn't colorless mana. It was like way before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if they were just like messing with me or if this is one of those rumors that never really happened, but somebody told me they remember LGS is getting shipments of stickers so you could correct cards when they changed it. I just don't remember what it was.
I mean, I've been thinking theoretically they could just go back to the original printing of Lightning Bolt, which reads Lightning Bolt does 3 damage to 1 target. And that solves your problem right there. You just go back to the original wording.
Yeah, there you go.
The new rule they want to specifically be able to target creatures or players and not keep Planeswalkers kind of immune to it. They want the versatility to be able to say players and not have it hit a Planeswalker.
Oh, but I thought the idea was anytime the errata was, or this is what I was understanding, was the errata was going to be anytime you talk about a player, it would be player or Planeswalker.
Well, they said it would be different per card. They said they would literally just arbitrarily pick a new wording for each individual card.
Oh, really? I didn't understand. Oh, okay.
Because that's not subject for abuse or manipulation.
Yeah.
And then they could change it. Then you did get out the Sharpie and put a little note on the artwork, which is the only thing you're allowed to write on, apparently, from what I heard. And then you got to change it back. Go get some whiteout or some rubbing alcohol.
That would be an absolute disaster.
Yeah, you literally would not be able to play Magic without pulling out your smartphone. And at that point, you might as well just play like duels or something.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, I think I don't know if they still do the Planeswalker rule. It's just going to make the game, I think, just even way more confusing. Which I think is another reason why we haven't heard much about it, recently. Like they put out that article, and I don't think. I haven't seen or heard anything more about it since then, other than I talked to a judge and said, yeah, they're still in discussions with it, but publicly I haven't heard anything more about it. Have you guys?
No, like I said, I thought they might have scrapped it at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it. Last I heard was they're doing it.
Yeah.
But
if they're thinking about it, that means they got some player comments.
But yeah. But I think
who knows if they'll flip flop on it like everything else. Literally everything else.
Literally everything else.
They just listen to the whiniest people and the most pro players. They don't even listen to their actual customers, which is FNM attendees.
Well, why isn't all the things I want happen then if we go by whiniest players? Because I think I'm the whiniest player.
Do you think they play my videos in their board meetings?
I don't know. I don't even think Wizards knows we exist. I think they're just so used to logging onto Polygon and then onto
Reddit.
Reddit and Tumblr, man. That's where they live, man.
Polygon was a good idea to post an article. So you can go from South Park 2 years ago to Polygon.
Well, did you notice that they did that whole spoiler for Polygon after the Jeremy article dropped? It was just kind of like hey, will you not print any articles like this ever again, and we'll just kind of give you a little boost in traffic to your website with a spoiler card?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, because what had happened was they did like a hit piece on the whole, Spankle thing, and talking about Jeremy and everything like that. So it was a black eye for Wizard, for their Google Analytics. Like when you search and you have this kind of hit piece come up. It doesn't look good for them.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I think it was like literally like maybe a week later, all of a sudden Polygon gets a spoiler card. Like, what the hell is
It's
this?
still pro Wizards though. It was a very anti Jeremy. It was like, yeah, go them for banning him though.
Yeah, it was, but it doesn't look good at the end of the day for your company to
Well,
be
does
caught
Wizards
up in
know
this
that? Because I don't think Wizards thinks that way. I think this is just like they literally run their company like that. Like people always say, why am I so involved in the culture war? Well, because Wizards chose the battleground for me. I didn't choose the battleground. They're the ones that said we are a culture warrior company. Boom. And so I'm like, okay, I play your game. I guess it's you've chosen the battlegrounds. I have to, defend my just my thoughts on life here. So I don't know. I don't even see I don't think they think Polygon. They probably rewarded Polygon for making that piece.
And not even realizing that
That it's bad publicity. Like that's how deep the rabbit hole goes with Wizards. They sit in their board rooms and think these are good ideas. We'll never get backlash for this. And then it takes forever. They begrudgingly finally that's almost all of what I said. Why they flip flop on everything. Almost all of their decisions have been reverted, and it's not because they wanted them. They've had this they wanted everything to be Gatewatch centric. Okay, we're gonna go away from that because no one wants it. They wanted to have the standard rotate quicker. Oh, no one wants that. Okay, so we didn't ever want to show Modern again. Oh, no one wants everything. They've just flip-flopped and flip-flopped. So I don't think that Wizards is the best at figuring out. Just read a bunch of Chris Cox's articles. He just doesn't get it. He hasn't immersed himself enough in the larger community to really even know what his customers want.
Yeah.
Dude, they should hire the ex-CEO of Yahoo, because she is exactly like that. She is on her own planet. Well, and Susan Wojcicki or whatever the hell her name is from YouTube. She just lives in her own little world. She doesn't even know how the website works. I mean, there's so many people out there.
Susan needs to stick to being a soccer mom in the Valley.
Yeah.
Another one of these incompetent diversity hires.
Oh, definitely. Well, they hired her because they started YouTube in her garage, and then they felt like they owed her. Okay, well that qualifies you. Okay.
Do you want to go down a really fun road here?
Sure,
with all the grid girl nonsense? Do you think that Wizards would have eventually just banned Christine Sprinkle anyway?
Yes,
Probably.
Exactly.
They would have turned on her ass so quick and been like, "Oh, you're a terrible representation of women."
Wizards is such a bipolar company, and the thought process behind SJWs, it's just you can ban grid girls and then praise the North Korean cheerleaders. That's how fucking retarded these people are. So it's the only reason they haven't jumped down her throat. It's I have photos that a subscriber sent me of her from her DeviantArt where she's literally just covered her nipples with caution tape. And it's just if I sent this to any parent group out there, any conservative action group, the ones I sent all the LGBT YouTube channels information to when they were basically trying to groom children, and then YouTube took action against them. It's if I sent those photos to those same groups and said, by the way, Wizards of the Coast is promoting this woman to be around your children at GPs and Magic events, they would jump down their freaking throats. But then, because she has the right politics, then the feminists would come out and say, oh, her body, her choice, blah, 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 blah. But we can't have Liliana of the Veil as featured artwork on Modern Masters 2017 packs or the box because fictional titties.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We need to reduce this as cup size because we have all these lesbians working at Wizards of the Coast, which doesn't even make any sense. It's if you're a lesbian, you love tits. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Well, I just
some
hate it.
raging lesbian, army commando lesbian planeswalker. I think then they'd finally be happy. Just kidding. They never are happy.
Yeah.
Zara from Overwatch.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
I don't play Overwatch.
Why?
I know. Anything where you gotta rely on teammates, just fuck it.
Well, you were about to say something, Kevin?
Well, I've just been having a heyday because there's a shirt that's going around that keeps saying boys will be decent humans or people like after that, and it's hilarious because both the grid girl thing and the let's take sexuality out of like Magic, let's take it out of like video games and stuff like that, and just that shirt in general and the grid girls and if everyone looks at like BYU's cheerleaders, they have like the most modest cheerleader uniforms. BYU's Brigham Young University, which is the Mormons' university. So I grew up with like this far right, because the Mormon Church is very far right with how they operate. Utah's an insanely Republican state, so I grew up like, this is ridiculous. We can't show skin. They had a slogan in the church that said, "Boys won't be boys, boys will be men." So we should be raising our boys so that they will be men rather than boys, and they totally like misinterpreting what the "boys will be boys" little phrase. "Boys will be boys" just means that you can't fight against the the current. It's gonna no matter what you do, they're still gonna do what they do. But so I just find it hilarious now that it's completely gone. The right that I used to fight against is now the left that I'm fighting the exact same bullet points against when I was younger with it. So it's just, I just thought it was funny with like, give it 2 years and they might not even like Christine Sprankle. They might not like all these cosplayers. They might be like, yeah. Whew.
Yeah, one article starts saying, "Oh, they support objectifying women." Oh, it's over for that. That is the end of it. That's it.
Well, what I've noticed is the SJWs that are in Wizards of the Coast right now, they're basically on like 2014 SJW talking points. Like they haven't caught up yet because they don't have any of the current thought leaders. That's why it's like we had a set like Amun Kang's, but it wasn't like promoted like the Black Panther because they're just a few years behind. But like just give it time. Like that like you're exactly right. They haven't turned on cosplaying women yet, just the fictional characters, which is like what Anita Sarkeesian was doing in 2014. It's just they're like playing catch up. They're like in a weird time vacuum. And what really pisses me off as a player, just to kind of go off on a little tangent here, is when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to play Magic the Gathering. So, because it, like, it had angels and demons, and it's like, yeah, you had salacious art and stuff like that. And that's what made it cool. Because you weren't allowed to do these things if you grew up in a conservative household. And now, you're not even allowed to have those fucking cards in Magic the Gathering.
I'll be right back, Tara. 1 second. I got something to drill this home.
You scared Kevin away. He's leaving. He's running away.
No,
Wizard sent the black helicopters.
Kevin confirmed transphobic.
Zach to the rescue. So this is a collection of cards that I bought from a Mormon missionary a while ago. All right.
Oh, God.
Let's get those up here. You can see them. So these are all Sharpied out, all the naughty parts, because if this person was going to play this game, they couldn't be tempted by scandalous skin on these things. So any boobs, any shoulders, any legs were blacked out. This is like
Wow.
literally, wasn't this what the left was fighting against when
yes!
and now it's...
Like, the employees who worked for Wizards of the Coast in the early 90s, this was like, they're like, yeah, we're not the Christian conservatives. We're not the neocons. And now it's just like, we're the neocons. By the way, we hate Trump.
So I just find these very funny. I was actually going to put these up in the bathroom, but Zach vetoed me. So the bathroom would be my safe space. So I could go and not be tempted by these scantily dressed women in Magic because I've always made fun of kind of the culture around here for being way too prude. Like, what is wrong with skin? What is wrong? We're in Ixalan where there's, they're wearing corsets up to their necks with these pirate women. The men are all shirtless and even have bulges and things like that, and that's actually celebrated. When are we going to get a Polygon or a BuzzFeed piece saying like top 10 bulges in Magic the Gathering? We know it's coming. And whereas if we said top 10 cleavage in match, oh good lord, it's time to ban that person that makes that post. But it's I just find it's so funny how we've gone completely the exact opposite direction. It's maybe the what's the horseshoe theory is completely correct. They're just one and the same.
Am I the only one who doesn't give a crap what the artwork looks like? Like, I care about if the cards are balanced and if they can have stick figures on them for all. They can remove the artwork.
But that's part of the Magic culture. It's definitely the storyline and definitely the card art. And again, it's they're going back on they don't this Polygon article that's made me really think Wizards just doesn't like their own their demographic. They're embarrassed by it. They wish they had this different demographic than what they do, and they're trying to push back so hard against it. And I think it's gonna. Why do they hate money so much?
Well, why do they?
Because they find changing society and changing culture and changing the world more important than their own business. That's every SJW ever.
But I think the real question is, why do they even care? And I think a lot of it has to do with corporate machine, right? Hasbro. For the most part, it's Hasbro, and it's like they just want to keep, they just want to shelter it because they have My Little Pony and all this other stuff, and I get that. But it's just, that's not the same demographic of this game.
So when was Magic the biggest, though? That's what Wizards should be centering on. What are the two most iconic cards in your opinion? And then I'll state mine. The two ones that you had people just buy because they were iconic. They're good cards in my opinion as well. But the ones that the artwork affects the most, I think where the artwork actually does affect the price of these two cards.
I'm going to say, is it Mountain and Island?
Liliana the Veil.
Liliana the Veil and Avacyn.
Oh,
I sold so many Avacyns to fanboys pre-Commander, before Commander took off as an actual format. The card was absolute garbage in Standard. No one played it anywhere because it was just not feasible to get an Avacyn out. In fact, if you wanted to reanimate something, there was better things to reanimate. There was a reanimator strategy back then. They didn't care about Avacyn because it just wasn't pertinent to the game. We used to sell so many, at the store I was at, so many cards of Avacyn just because of the fanboys for the Avacyn artwork. So Liliana, and even look at Steve Argyle's, a lot of the Liliana altered arts he's done, very risque on those. That's why it was Liliana also wasn't a card that was out the gates that strong. People forget that it had like a $14 price tag at one point because it just wasn't good in a Delver-based Standard. And people still just loved Liliana and they loved Avacyn. And it's because they knew their demographic back then. And I'm not saying that Magic has to be pervy, or by all means, let's have the discussion. Let's talk about what kind of this could do on society. At least, unless we, get into the our culture. I don't know if I can say the word without getting your video taken down. But we sort of start going off on that, where everything sexualized is violent or whatnot. But that to me, those were the heydays of Magic, and we haven't come close to that. It was Innistrad, Return to Ravnica. That was the peak. That was when Magic was cool. That's when everyone wanted to play it, where there probably was actually more females playing then than there are now, just because numbers wise. And it's almost like Wizards doesn't want to go back to that era where it just had sold out tournaments, and our local game store got 100 people for FNM. We were packed.
Wow, 100 people.
That's a lot.
Oh yeah,
damn.
yeah.
Wow.
Between Standard and Draft, we'd have like 3 draft pods of between 8 to 12 people in each one of those draft pods, and Standard would just be packed. And this was a tiny store in it wasn't even a good area in what's called West Valley in Salt Lake City, if people are familiar with that. And it was kind of like some mama's pop store. They ended up having to move to like this like old like supermarket type store, like really deep, like it went way far back and had huge ceilings to be able to have enough table space for all the people that came and played at FNM. Now it's unheard of. Like I'm hearing that same store has a hard time firing FNMs.
Oh wow.
And
that's rough.
Like I haven't been to the Salt Lake area. I know one of the things that also happened was like when Magic became insanely profitable, everyone and their dog started a card store. And so there's a lot of like competition. Like I remember in Salt Lake City, there was 3 within walking distance where I lived. When I say walking distance, I'm saying lazy walking distance, like a couple blocks. So So I understand the oversaturation, but still, Magic, besides if they keep wanting to go off GP attendance, it's, as far as the LGS level, it's way down compared to that. And I think that has a lot to do with it. Magic's just not cool anymore. It's not fun when you have to go and the people are shaming you for wearing a t-shirt or a specific playmat. Like, I've gotten on some people before for their what I basically say is hentai. When they come in with their playmats, they're extremely sexualized anime. We banned Force of Will from our store just because it caused a problem at our store. But just because our demographic's a little bit younger and we're in a very Mormon community. But I mean, it's I don't know. I think I've sidetracked this whole debate thing about Jace pretty poorly. But
So what you're saying is Jace needs to look way sexier.
oh, they've already done that with Jace. Look at
Yeah,
little
we're
Playboy
on
Jace.
like Jace. We're on Jace now. He's not
Yeah,
even.
he's
Jace
buff,
anymore.
dude. He's huge.
We need the Elvish Ranger version of Jace, right? The old school Alliances version of Elvish Ranger. Have you guys ever seen that card? I remember having a bunch of those cards, by the way.
I've never
What's
seen
going to
that.
happen
Elvish
is we've got.
Ranger. Oh
we've
yeah.
got
I remember.
Jace. So now we need Bear Grook. So that way they can hook up, and then Grook will be okay again because he'll be his lover. He'll be his bear.
There we go.
Then it'll be progressive. It'll be okay.
There you go.
Well, from a business standpoint, it makes sense to do what they're doing. It's just that's not, they're just a bunch of SJWs, and that's everything they do at the companies in the lens of that. But it's like, if the type of person is like, I'm not going to play Magic unless there's tits on the cards, that's like a complete pig to me. Like, if that's the way you want to live every aspect of your life and every hobby, it has to involve like scantily clad women, then like get the hell out of Magic. And then on the flip side, if a certain portion of your play base and your players and your customers are going to be offended and not buy your product because of blah, then don't do blah. It doesn't really matter what it is. So it's like they could be trying to make a personal statement or, women's liberties, but at the end of the day, it makes business sense to not put that on the cards, other than look how edgy we are, we're such rebels, which is like such an 80s thing. I mean,
That's what I mean. That's what got literally tens of thousands of people into Magic in the beginning, was the fact that it was counterculture. You
That's
were
true.
not
That is
allowed
true.
to enjoy these things.
Who are
And
the
we
big-
and we live in the same damn culture. It's just coming from the left.
pretty much. That's why they
See-
need internet memes on the cards. I've been told they got to make timely meme references. People would be like, that is the dankest card game ever, and they would play it because of that. Because memes are like the counterculture, the whole crippling depression, I deal with it with memes,
Do you know the way? 1 red, draw 2 cards, discard 1.
Dude, if they put Ugandan knuckles on a Magic card, even in unstable, they would double the sales. People who have never heard of Magic would be going on eBay to buy Ugandan knuckles as a Planeswalker.
Or like I said, they missed that huge opportunity when they printed cards called Tomb. What is the card called in Rivals Vixen? Tomb. It's why they should have called it. Basically, made a Tomb Raider reference.
Oh yeah, that one.
But
Oh
nope,
my God.
it's a burly orc guy that yeah. I'm like, you could have easily just made a pop culture reference to Lara Croft, and would have been, people would have been fanboying over that card, and would have had, there's so many times that a card people have just liked because of the little art portion to it. Well, I mean,
Tomb
and then
Raider.
we have to hear endlessly about some of these other ones, like, oh, thank you for Grandma or Captain Menopause. And
Yep,
I have
that
no
was-
problem against that. That art was fine. Like, a lot of these decisions by Wizards, I'd be completely okay with if it just happened to be the artist's direction to go that way. Not that Wizards specifically asked it or demanded it go that way. Like I said, they've got these corsets. They've burqa'd up every one of the female pirates in this that isn't even feasible. They're all wearing like 7 layers, fur coats in the middle of the Pirates of the Caribbean atmosphere.
Steve Argyle and Therese Nilsson are still here making Magic art, and they've been told you can't do this anymore.
Yeah, because look at their other art pieces. That's what I was saying too. When Magic started, was it Piers Anthony was a huge fantasy artist or author at the time, and every one of his covers were like, whoa. I remember going to game stores like, whoa, there's borderline pornography there in the book section.
Yeah.
Or the comics too. Remember comic books? Marvel used to have like there's all the same thing in fantasy or during. Man, those plastic surgeons must have made a killing back in those fantasy days because all the fake breasts that were on every one of the Marvel characters and fantasy characters stuff. But
yeah, right.
I mean, that was the genre. That was the who got into Magic.
Fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way it was.
And we need to find a balance, but at the same point, like I am tired of this male sexual shaming nonsense where we can look at the top 10 bulges of the Winter Olympics and show, you know, did you guys see the BuzzFeed article? Go.
I saw that in my Twitter feed.
I don't follow BuzzFeed that much myself.
Well, neither do I, but I saw it in my Twitter feed because I think Miles retweeted
Miles
it.
Chung, yeah.
And then so I was like, oh, here we go again with this sort of stuff. So it's okay. In fact, women are supposed to be liberating their sexuality. They're supposed to be seeking pleasurable or, you know, being able to express their sexual. Going to Magic Mike that sold out with all the crowds of women that you know lined up for that. And it was celebrated. Whereas if they, you know, all the things these days, if we even begin to, you know, find somewhat, you know, something attractive, like how dare you, that's violence.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
On a more serious question, how many of you guys, show of hands, how many boxes have you bought from Sports and More already?
Oh, I bought them out. I bought everything.
I usually get my boxes off Amazon or Dave and Adams, so or Massdrop. But what I find interesting about Sports and More, and I'm trying to work a video on this, is they have the luxury of not having conflict of interest, and I think that's why they have the business model they have. For them, the math, looking at it, when they sold, what was it, 1,028 boxes of M25 at, like, I think it was $180 or something like that. I'm pretty sure they made about $15,000 in a day profit. So, I mean, because, you know, they're just going to get somebody to come in at minimum wage, when they receive them off the truck, throw shipping labels on them, and put them right back out the door. And then it's like,
that's all you do. That is literally all you do. Like, people are like, no, there's more to it than that. No, that is quite literally what you do.
Right. So if they are able to reduce their overhead to just that, and then all they have to do, they're not going, all right, well, if I put together 4 impact trimmers and I sell it on eBay for $2 and I charge $1.99 for shipping, what's going to be my over after tracking? Because then if they report the card stolen, then I get nothing. You know, they don't have to worry about any of it. They're just like, slap, label, slip, go, next. And then it's like, when's the next set come out? So I think that's why they're in a very distinct, unique competitive advantage over a lot of stores right now. And I find that fascinating.
Well, the biggest competitive edge, they get it for cheaper than the rest of us can get it for.
Yep.
They're a distributor.
Yep.
Yeah,
they're not playing by the same. 1,008. They're a distributor. And they are Wizards. Wizards is condoning this 100% because every time we try to talk about it, Wizards bans us. This is something that I, as a local game store, have access to a Wizards Play network where other owners can talk about it. Whenever we bring up Sports and More, we get banned. Not us banned. Our post gets taken off. This is something that Wizards is condoning. They don't care. They love Massdrop. They love Sports and More. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of them telling me I can't ship to Canada because of, you know, breaking these sort of WPN rules, and they're not enforcing Massdrop or Sports and More. It's no other industry is running business like Wizards does. There's an MSRP for a reason. A lot of manufacturers honor and value that MSRP and make sure that there's no like inter-competition. They don't compete with their brick and mortar stores. They make sure that it you know, and going back to mine and Tara's little disagreement, I think we are arguing 2 different points mainly, where I'm saying that this should be Wizards' job to police Sports and More, and I was thinking Tara was like, no, go Sports and More, yay, good for them, they're awesome. But I think we're on the wrong page here, where my blame is not on the people that buy from Sports and More. Go for it. Be as there was someone in today that was like, you know, I really want to buy a fat pack from you, but that I can get it online for a lot cheaper. I'm like, yeah, you got to be. I'm sorry, but for us to make margins, this is what I need to charge for the fat pack. I can't sell it for $22 when I buy it for $20. I mean, you know, you can go and find them for way cheap online. I understand that. You know, be loyal to your wallet, But I mean, that shouldn't be the position that I, as someone that's cheerleading Wizards product, should be in. Wizards should value me as a brick and mortar store and make sure that I can compete with other, especially big box stores or distributors that is violating expressly what is in the WPN, that they are not supposed to sell directly to consumer. They are only supposed to sell to other to people that are in the Play network. So there's my rant.
Yeah, I think so. A couple things like Sports and More. I've been doing some investigating on Sports and More, and there's a lot more to meets the eye to them. I need to confirm a lot of details that I've learned, but I'd have to say Sports and More is more than just a distributor. They also get product from stores that are just not going to sell it, and they just get it from them for pretty much cost.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Is they're like a late game liquidator. It doesn't explain their day one boxes, but I think even they themselves said on social media one time that they get liquidated box from stores that just want to ditch it.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
But
well, there was
whatever,
a cartel in
Where?
Walnut, California for a while that was doing this. What they were doing were they were consolidating a bunch of stores product and selling them. So they go to all the stores in, I believe that Walnut is Los Angeles area. I can't, so what they were doing is they were going to all these stores saying, hey, you're going to let me buy out your allotment. Rumors is Mass Drop is this way too. Like I've heard rumors that even like Kevin, Darium CCG, just sells his entire allotment to Mass Drop now. So he orders them saying, Wizards, how many can I get from you, Wizards? How can I get from you, GTS, Southern Hobby? Okay, I'll take my entire allotment. Hey, Mass Drop, pay me $1 more. Sweet, okay, pay the shipping and pay me $1 per box. Yep, you can have them all. And again, though, then Sportsmore is still breaking. The consolidation is still breaking. I, as a store, cannot sell to another store. That's part of the WPN. If I know that you're a reseller, I can't sell to you.
Yeah, I got a warning from my vendor, and I'm not even in the WPN program. And they still warned me when I mentioned that I was selling some of my stock to another store because they ran out. He said, yeah, don't do that. We'll ban you.
Well, Wizards is
okay.
But
they're so strict on it.
But
this is where I would make concessions in my more capitalist, like, hey, I'm willing to buy 2,000 boxes, so you need to give me a better deal. I would break away from that, even though that is my more capitalist standpoint. I would break away and say you are in a way codependent on stores existing, because that maintains the health of the game. So my compromise would be, yes, okay, you may have more purchasing power than Kevin, but because we still want Kevin to have a store for our players to go to, everybody gets to buy in at the same price. That would be my ultimate compromise. Because I think the WPN needs to go, period, and the DCI, because of all the corruption and everything that we've seen with the pedo judges and all that stuff. I think that all needs to go, and then the promos need to be sent to all stores that sell Magic product, and then on top of that, they need to do their box toppers in the boxes, instead of this, like, loosely send it to stores and then stores can just sell them on eBay and stuff like that and not even give them to the customers. Screw that. Put your buy a box toppers inside the box. Yeah. So single sellers will get them because they open the boxes and they can do whatever they want with them. And the customers who buy sealed products will guarantee to be rewarded. That would be my compromise for everyone. So then it's just like, if Sports and More wants to operate at a smaller margin because they can, great, but at the same time, then you, Kevin, can buy the boxes for the exact same price as them. So that way, it's like, if you are in that scenario where a customer walks in and they say, well, I can't really afford $100 for a box, I can give you $80 because that's what I can get it for off Amazon, and say you paid $45. You can go, you know what, I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna cut a deal with you today, one time only, and then you can win the loyalty of that customer for the next time they come in and they want to give you $100 for a box. But because you'd have the wiggle room essentially to haggle, and I feel like you guys don't have that right now because they have not given you effectively enough bargaining position in the marketplace.
Yeah, pretty much. We can't do anything about the price. I don't even get a bulk discount anymore.
Oh, Kevin, I think we lost your audio.
Hit it with a stick, Kevin. Maybe his dog ate the XLR cable.
No, dog's over here sleeping.
Hey, Kevin's back.
Yeah,
Shit,
it's
don't
my
wake up the
icicle
dog.
is like ruined. The icicle pulls away from the shore. Never buy. There you go. Everyone's watching for audio. How do you hook in your SM58? Des, do you use an icicle or do you use the Shure one?
Oh, I'm using an entire mixer.
Oh, okay,
Six
never
channel,
mind.
yeah.
I just for the cheap mode you have to get something that hooks it in. And Blue Ice, they make one from Blue. It's icicle. It's just so cheaply made that I highly recommend that you get the Shure one because it's actually not made out of plastic. So I think what's happening is the Shure microphone keeps pulling these icicles apart and ends up destroying them. So anyway, that's my next purchase though, is to get another
Cables
Shure
are
one.
heavy, yeah. People underestimate that. They'll yank on them.
Oh no, this cable's not even very heavy. It's just between the mic and the cable just pulls this. If you ever buy an icicle, you'll see how cheaply these are made. I mean, that's why they're inexpensive though. They're literally like I've crushed a couple of them, I've bent them, and it's not even like it's just barely dropping the mic, and then it will crush it, and it'll be. Whereas the Shure one is like I could take a hammer to it, and it'd be fine. So.
Dude, this mixer was like $29 at the pawn shop, man. It's a PV, which is not exactly my favorite brand of audio equipment, but it works. I love it. You should get one. And then you could have vocalists. You could have instrumentals. You could plug in some guitars because it's like 4-channel or 6-channel or whatever it is.
There you go.
6-channel. No, it's 4-channel. It just looks like it's 6-channel. This is nice. I got the EQ built in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could boost the bass.
I guess what I was saying is, I got a better idea. Why doesn't Wizards just police their agreements? That's the other industries
they don't
do
give
this.
a shit.
Right.
But other industries already do this since Purple loves Clorox so much. Clorox is something that I'm sure has agreements with Walmart, has agreements with brick and mortar stores of what that they can get that, and they enforce them. They make sure that someone doesn't get this like fair shake or this deal from them and then undercuts everyone, and because they value all of their stores that end up distributing it directly to the consumers.
They all have price floors. I mean, that's super common. I mean, especially with electronics and stuff, there are price floors. Not just Apple. People are like, you cannot sell it or advertise it for under this price, or we will kick you out as a vendor. You know, this is Walmart, and they're the ones making the rules. But that's why Magic needs a price floor. You know.
Okay,
Sears went away from its branding for quite a while. The Sears brand went terrible. Like they used to, almost everything used to be in-house Sears brands, Kenmore, Whirlpool, those type of stuff that were owned by Sears. Then they like, okay, well, we might as well sell our competitor stuff too because a sale is a sale. But usually when they had I didn't, as being able to manage Sears inventory, I could bump it up and down as I wanted because I had a lot of leeway with it. But all of the competitor stuff, it was illegal. Well, yeah, contractually illegal for me to bump it down to a price lower than what they were willing to let us do it. So we're talking about like all the Korean or Japanese brands. I couldn't even if I wanted to. You'd have to
that's how they do it.
No.
So
That's
it's not
what they
unknown.
need to do with Magic. I hate price floors, but it would fix everything. They could just go after any WPN person. Now, no, nothing stopping me from buying one off the shelf at Walmart and throwing it up on eBay for whatever the hell price I want. Like, if I got bills, boom. But for, like, the large, like WPN agreement, they already signed the damn agreement, they would just have to enforce it. They wouldn't even have to reword it. I mean, but if they just said price floor, you cannot sell Masters 25 below 200. Can't do it. No matter who you are, where you are, nothing. Or at least not for like a month. If you get stuck with it, you get stuck with it and you got to lower the price. But, put a time limit, put a floor on it, problem solved. Or they could just shut down Sports and Norm, which, I mean, they'll be gone within a month. I can almost guarantee you that. I'm not going to give details because then they'd be able to avoid what I'm attempting to do to them, but they are not going to have an eBay account much longer. I absolutely assure you of that.
But that's okay. They have many different outlets to sell on. I mean, and I
don't care as long as it ain't eBay. As long as they aren't competing on my platform, then they can do whatever the hell they want. If they go somewhere else, I'll just get their web hosting pulled then. I mean, they are costing me money, so they can just go burn for all I care.
They actually have 5 different company names. I've
Oh,
uncovered
that's
about
interesting.
But do you sell sealed boxes though, Des? I thought you only.
I don't,
sold
but they're driving down the cost of singles because people are like, it's more profitable instead of buying singles to buy boxes at $159, which is what they were selling them at. Which that was the last straw. That's when I decided I'm going to make my life's goal to destroy their company within the law. By the way, I'm not just going to go burn their warehouse down. You know, I'm
Their
going
nail
to make
salon?
sure their front business, their MVP Sports that was artificially removed from Google because they got so much harassment because it's not even where they really are. But yeah, I'm about to find out within a couple days where their main warehouse is, and then that's about to be public information. And besides that, they're gonna get a call from the IRS because of all this bullshit front stuff. Just under the suspicion that they need to be audited because they're doing something with money laundering. And that's like the tip of the iceberg. I'm not even going to get into other stuff because they could avoid what I'm trying to do, but it's going to get really bad and really expensive for them to run their business very shortly. Because I'm sick of it. They're ruining it. Wizards won't do anything, so I'm going to do something. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Here's my question, though, with the reality of the singles prices, though. That's simply not true for buying singles. Like, if you bought, like I did, 2 boxes of Modern Masters, I got 1 of 4 out of 5 of the fetch lands, and that cost me almost $400. Why the fuck did I do that? I would have been able to get, at the time, Liliana the Veil was $65. So 65 times, and I didn't get a single Liliana. So I could have got 4 Lilianas for $260 and a play set or 2 play sets of other fetch lands. Why the fuck did I buy those boxes?
Because people like to open up boxes, and what they do with the singles that they don't want is they end up putting them into the secondary market. Opening booster box, if you can get cheap booster boxes, people almost indefinitely will choose opening the booster boxes off of buying singles. I still have customers to this day that are like, hey, what are you working on? A vampire deck. I'm like, hey, let's get you some vampires. Well, what set are they out of? I want to
and then they buy the box, because you can buy list the rest. If the EV is good enough, they'll just open it, take a shot at it, and buy list the rest, and then it ends up on a single seller.
Okay.
Well, singles are always going to be worth less than boxes just because of gamblers that are willing to open up stuff and throw them back. But what Des is saying is it is flooding the market with cheap singles because people are now getting booster boxes at distributor pricing, the same price.
The way
that
the
I
stores
can
can counter that immediately is raise their lower their buy list prices, and that's your ultimate tool against that.
That's true. They could if they really wanted. Yeah.
What do you mean lower the buy list price? It all gets dumped on eBay. How am I going to lower my buy list price to?
Oh, not everybody has an eBay account.
But not everybody has an eBay account, and your overhead, the cost to sell the product. If you sell a $2 card on eBay, you've made nothing. After you ship it and deal with the seller fees, the percent that PayPal cuts, eBay takes, everything, you've made almost nothing, and it takes more time. You better to just go to McDonald's and work for an hour.
It doesn't stop people from doing it. I just got a card sphere package today for 27 cents worth of cards. People just like to sell stuff. They like to trade stuff. And that's just the reality of life.
But I think
when I do a buy list, it's more. It's like $1,000, and I paid $12 to ship it one time.
But I think of it this way too, and I'm on the mindset of, I'm a casual single seller, so I'll sell things that I just don't need anymore. So for instance, like I have play sets of Bloodbraid Elf, right? So I'm like, well, I don't really need all these because, well, now they're like $9 a piece and I can sell them. But I mean, the thing is like if I sell a play set of Bloodbraid Elf for what is that, $27, $28 on eBay. By the end of the day, I'm only going to make $20 off of that after shipping, fees, and final, all that stuff. So for me to open boxes to sell singles is really, it's not worth it to me. And even at $159 a box, in my opinion, is still not enough for me to get into it and say, hey, I'm going to buy, 20, 30 boxes and sell a bunch of stuff out because I'm going to make money. No, that's just not going to happen. Like that, it's like, I think as far as, I don't know, that's just my opinion. Like, I just don't think it's viable for a non-store, like for myself or people who just want to buy boxes to open. It's just not a viable way to sell cards.
And you're competing against Card Kingdom and Star City Games and Channel Fireball, who are getting their boxes at basically cost, and they're doing the same thing, and they're doing it way better and at much higher volumes, which mitigates their risk. So it's like they're actually going to hit the EVs. It's like they're going to open enough Eternal Masters boxes to pull those Liliana the Veils to make up for the fact that some boxes just don't have them. I mean, does it inject more cards, into the market like, essentially like Pokemon does? Yeah, sure. But the people really moving the product are the people opening hundreds, if not thousands, of boxes. I mean, it's like, when you see Rudy do a video where he's sorting out his mass box openings to sell singles. It's just like, you're not going to be able to buy your booster box off eBay for what that person's selling and compete with Rudy at the price that he's paying. It's just never going to happen. And what a weird, my whole thing is, what are you trying to accomplish with that?
Yeah, I don't get what people's end goal is by buying like $170 boxes of Masters 25. Like, what did they want other than to hold their own private drafts?
They like opening boxes.
That's just it. It's just a gamble.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm getting at, Kevin. That's my ultimate point. Is that customer who's more like me is gonna buy singles when they need the singles, and they buy sealed for the experience. So going after that person who's trying to buy sealed product, you're wasting your time because it's a different customer altogether.
That's not what Des was saying. Des is saying it's pushing down the market of singles, which is his bread and butter, because of people getting you can get 2 boxes instead of 1. They have a finite amount of money. They can buy. Okay, I've got $150 to spend on Ixalan. If I had to spend $125 buying that box of Ixalan versus I can buy 2 for $150, there's twice as many cards that are going into the singles market.
Well, not really, though.
Assuming that sealed, like when I bought my Modern Masters boxes, I didn't sell any of them because I didn't get more than a play set of more than 2 or 3 cards. So so I organized them, put it in my binder, and boom. Now, if I want to build a Modern Masters cubed, I can. They didn't go anywhere. They went straight from being open right into my folders.
You keep giving anecdotal stuff of how you do stuff over and over and over. But me as a person that watches different consumers treat Magic completely differently, a lot of people just buy for the thrill of opening, and they absolutely go then dump them on eBay on the stuff they don't like. And if they're getting it for cheaper, that means that's the more boxes they're going to be opening and throwing. Plus, there's a lot of people that think they're finance people. They're like, oh, I can make it work. I crunched the numbers. I looked at MTG Dawn Glare at TC Mid, and it says a booster box value is worth 96. So if I buy these boxes for 77, I can make a profit. And then they every year, every week, you get people that think they're going to be these Magic pros
millionaires
on buying and selling stuff.
But let me ask you it this way, right? Is how I feel like that market is so small compared to the amount of stores that does that even really make a difference?
It was small until they can start getting them at distributor prices, just like what Des is saying. It's cutting into his bottom line because now everyone can be a store. Everyone can get them at these super cheap. I could have bought Iconic Masters from Sports & More for cheaper than I can get it directly from Wizards. And I'm sure Sports & More's customer service, at least their shipping, is much better than Wizards. So what is the point for me being a brick and mortar when Joe around the corner can also have the same perks as I literally have a person here in Richfield that started an eBay store and buys from Sports & More and not only an eBay store, but sells in my damn community. Sells to people that used to come to my store because now they're running it out of their basement because they can get boxes for $69 shipped.
Wait a minute, maybe all 4 of us should get together, and the next time that they sell, I don't know, Modern Masters 4, we all go to Sports & More, and between us we buy all of it. We buy all of their boxes for like $150, and then we relist them now that they're off of eBay for like $200. And anybody selling it below $200, we buy it and then resell it for $200.
We're going to come up with the millions for that.
I have a lot of available credit.
So we just treat boxes off Sports & More like the reserve list.
Well, people have been doing that for. I'm sure there are people that have been doing that with Mass Drop and Sports & More. I know there's a lot of people that are still under the Rudy mentality that buying and sitting on the sealed product is the way to go, which I think is so outdated and hasn't worked since.
Oh yeah. Well, except
maybe
for
New
Unstable.
Phyrexia is the last. Unstable's print run is larger than you guys think. I got 3
Yeah, but it's
cases,
$138
no problem.
right now on eBay. It's literally right now $138. So you only had to sit on it for like 2 months.
I know. I wish I wasn't loyal to my patrons because those 3 cases went to the patrons. But
It's about to be
we got a
reprinted,
case
so.
a week, no problem from Wizards. All this nonsense that stores were only getting 1 box. They must not have been trying to get them through Wizards. Again, we've been able to get a case a week. I think it's hot. I think Wizards is actually being smart for once and not sending these out to distributors. I think the second print run's all in-house at Wizards. That's my personal. There are a lot of people that don't actually even use Wizards because they can get it cheaper from like Southern Hobby or GTS. Once you're spending the amount of money that like Darium's or like speaking of Darium's business model, he used to sell down to $1 a box was all the profit he made, and he said it paid two employees part-time. So he was able to employ 2 people at his store by basically getting his entire allotment and making $1 a box on eBay. So
yeah, where you get them is the Dorito sales. It's what do they call that? That's your loss leader, and then that's your like bread and butter.
Yeah. So anyway, where was I going with this whole thought? With so like Rudy, like many of them might not be able to get Unstable because they're not even trying to go through Wizards. But anyway, we probably should have been unloading those on eBay if I could get them for $76 a box and make them. They're really going for $130. God.
Yeah. But I don't get it. It's very widely known at this point that it's going to be reprinted in like 2 weeks.
It's already out. The second printing
out?
of Unstable.
Oh, so my
said,
distributor didn't tell me because they didn't get any.
They don't have them. In my opinion, they only got a little tiny bit. I think Wizards is going to slowly milk this because again, if Wizards can sell directly to a local game store for $76, that's much better than selling to distributors. What do distributors get them at? Maybe 60, 55? I don't know. I wish that the distributors also probably have different rates with Wizards is what they get them from. So,
the prices that you're naming are why I think there needs to be an entire price adjustment in the market with consumer demand, which is what I was DMing you about. I think they need to lower the MSRP and lower your buy-in cost.
Wizard doesn't want to lower the MSRP. They're making killings off of this.
Well,
the cost of paper just went up too.
I don't think Wizards gives a crap about Iconic Masters because Sports and More and Mass Drop ate them all up and they sold them for the exact same price they would have sold them. Wizards didn't give a crap if the consumer paid $120 for it. They sold it for the exact same price the consumer paid $200 for it. I think this has been a running thing with Modern Masters 1 where Wizards got so pissed off and jealous that they didn't make the bulk of the profit of Modern Masters 1. That immediately it got into people sell because it was $6.99 is what the MSRP was, so meaning that we probably could have got. I didn't have a game store at that point, so I don't know how much directly from Wizards or distributors, but I'm assuming that it would be just slightly more at that point than a regular box. So what, like $80-$90 is probably you could have got a Modern Masters 1 box from directly from Wizards.
Well, I thought it was the exact same price. I thought that's what everybody kept saying.
No, it jacked up. It went from $6.99, $6 because Wizards bases it upon MSRP. The introductory rate is usually like what a 55% of MSRP is what you get it from Wizards, and so they're giving you, that's why MSRP exists. They're like saying, this is our manufacturer's suggested retail price that we know will keep businesses afloat. Businesses need to go, dollar for dollar, they need to be making a certain amount. And that's why I argue economics all day long with people that talk about the woulda, shouldas, evil capitalisms. For every dollar of overhead, I need to make about $7 to cover just the cost of growing and overhead and be able to reorder product. So I can't survive on a couple. So again, for every if I was going at $1 booster box profit, I'd have to, and my overhead was $2,000 for example. I'd need to sell 2,000 boxes of whatever the set was just to keep overhead, which is ridiculous. No one else is expected. Food cost is like 20%, 19% is where you're supposed to keep food costs down to if you're a restaurant.
Yeah.
So they're expecting me to have, product cost be 55% right there. I still have to pay employees. I still have all the other overhead as all the other businesses. All these other industries have gone through these growing pains. They've gone to the point where they've valued what exactly their brick and mortar stores bring to just brand recognition and sales in general, and they value that. It seems like Wizards hasn't, and not just Wizards, but the rest of the board game industry hasn't come to that conclusion yet. I think
do
they
you
want
think that
to
they're
go
trying
the
to
eBay
kill
route.
stores though,
Yes,
because they
yes.
make way more on MTGO?
Yes. Oh yeah, they get all of that for MTGO. Same thing.
Yeah,
with
they get to
Arena.
keep all of it. Yeah, they don't have to send anything to a distributor, no margins, nothing. It's just all theirs. They don't even have to pay for the paper and the ink.
Arena's going to be riddled with microtransactions that are going to be... People are going to end up spending more money on Arena than they did on MTGO. I'm calling it right now. Yeah, the people that used to spend $200 on MTGO are going to spend $400 on Arena just because the microtransactions psychologically get people. Wizards is... Chris Cox is a digital guy. He doesn't like this brick and mortar stuff. He doesn't understand Magic. That Magic is... The height of Magic was sitting down with an opponent, playing kind of like how the generation before us liked golf. You got together and played a game. You didn't like... But Chris, he sees the Hearthstone or he sees the League of Legends. Gotta have it. Gotta have it. It's not going to work. Not going to work for Magic.
Yeah, it can't just copy other people. Like when you get to the 5th PUBG clone, it's just not going to sell. So copying Hearthstone like 4 years later is an idiotic strategy.
I don't know. I think Arena is a whole different conversation, so maybe I won't.
Yeah, but it's still in this entire. Why I'm bringing it up is it makes sense now. While they're encouraging mass drop, they're encouraging sports and more, because again, Wizards doesn't care if it goes to if they're selling boxes for $60 to distributors and it gets funneled into sports and more, then back on eBay, and it sells quicker than it would go through the slow chain of going to local game stores, then Wizards is happy. Iconic Masters probably sold very well for them because of Mass Drop and Sports and more blowing it out. I don't think their sales were low for Iconic Masters. I think they're quite high because the secondary market price point to them, they could give a crap less.
I think
they don't care what it sells like on the secondary market, which now the secondary market is like a local gaming store apparently. But if they sell boxes for $50 of standard, they know they're going to sell more to whoever, they don't care who, if it's 78 than if it's 125, which is a typical LGS price. So they know that they themselves are going to make more, and so they're like, well, what's the side effect? We screw over the local gaming store. And I think Chris Cox is like, well, then let them close. Who cares? They're all dying anyway. Like, he thinks it's not even their fault that they're going out of business, which is ridiculous.
I wouldn't even be surprised if this entire Christmas season thing for the game store, GameStop, and Walgreens and Walmart, those were probably all Wizards related. I would be very surprised if the distributor that handles Walmart and Target and all these other places doesn't have a very close relationship with Wizards, where they might even get the product, they might make a commission directly from Wizards rather than actually having to buy the stock and
probably.
Well, this is what partly what happens is like MJ Holdings, and I know somebody who works there. So basically, what they do is they buy Wizards leftover like sort of scrap boxes and open packs, because they got open packs everywhere in their warehouse, right? They buy all this stuff up and for like pennies on the pack, basically, and then they make these sort of boxes that we see in Walmart and Targets and stuff like that. Like, that is their job. Like, MJ Holdings is leasing all that space to specifically target that particular market. Like, they pay rent to put product there, right? Yep. And they manufacture all these things. So those Planeswalker are not the Planeswalker ones. The Chaos packs that you see, the mystery packs you used to see. These were all products put out and manufactured by MJ Holdings through the purchasing agreement that they had through Wizards of the Coast for old product that was no longer being sold by them or to distributors. And that's basically how all of those are being put together.
So it begs the question of, why is Wizards so incompetent that they can't do this themselves, that they can't work out an arrangement with Walmart? This whole company is just full of bad apples that can't do their job. And
Pretty
like
much.
Des says, it hits my bottom line too, because I was the idiot to get involved in this entire marriage with Wizards. Because our game store is predominantly Magic related. That's why we started it, because I'm a Magic fan. You know, and in the end, I have no one to blame it myself, because it is almost like an abusive relationship. We have one party that just doesn't give a shit about me. And, you know, we've dealt with it for a while, and the silver lining was when these master sets did come out, or the perks that they gave us for a local game store, we could turn around and actually make a significant profit and rely on those and be like, oh, whew, at least we have this. We're looking forward to these, you know, these pre-releases that can't be held anywhere else, that sell out and you know, really keep us going. And in fact, I used to argue that other board game or other companies like the board game and card game should pay a tax to Wizards, because their games wouldn't even exist without Wizards of the Coast really being the breadwinner for game stores. So, yeah, boy, have times changed since even I started getting involved in the LGS business.
So now
I've pretty much come to the conclusion that what's going to happen is you're going to have a market collapse where I would say over 50% of the current brick and mortar game stores are closed, just because of market demand and market change, and the fact that everything's gone so digital. And what's going to happen is, I think that they're hedging their bets with the way that they're doing their distribution now, is because Magic's, in my opinion, it's getting back to its roots. Because when I started playing, there was no local game store to play Magic. You played at the mall. You played at the cafeteria lunch table in school. And what will happen is there will be a renaissance, a cooling over period. And then, assuming the sets are good, there'll be a renaissance that gets people to want to open a store again, and they'll have to do it basically in an area where there's no competition, and they will go on to be successful, and it'll become more limited, and the experience, I think, will ultimately get better, because it'll be this niche thing. It's like when laser tag first moved into certain areas. And it was just like, oh my god, laser tag, this is so cool. We've never had anything to do like this in my town or my city or whatever. So then, it had a huge boom and growth, and then whatever. I think you're going to see that with one-stop game shops, where it's just like they have all your board games, Warhammer, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, whatever, and it'll be like a Renaissance experience. But for the immediate future, I definitely think that the only way that they're going to maintain the volume of sales is that they currently Hasbro wants them to get is what they're doing. Because if they were to say, no, you need to sell at MSRP, the customer base would shrink so much that I don't think it could sustain even the game. But I don't know. I guess we'll see which direction it ultimately ends up going.
Yeah, maybe they think $170 boxes from these sets are growing the game. Like, they're reaching more people. They're going to expand. Maybe that's their whole thought process behind this.
That is their thought process. I think that they think that local game stores, the chain that happens to go from distributor to local game store, is messy and just leaks profit on every step, and it could be done a better way. I can see their thought process. I just think they're undervaluing. Like I said, other industries have gone through this. What if a manufacturer could just sell cars directly to people? Why the hell do we need these car salesmen that jack up the prices by 40%? And by the way, that's an industry that is completely corrupt, where you can't even start a car store unless you're grandfathered into it. They run it like the mob. You have your areas, little gangs where you can sell stuff. But anyway, a lot of these industries have already gone through these growing pains and then had to come to the conclusion, oh wow, this is the cost of business. We need representation at the street level for our product. It can't just survive digitally or at Walmart, or this is a social game. And I think that this all stems that Chris Cox was the worst thing that happened to Magic. And this is coming from someone that thinks that Marrow was the worst thing that happened. So,
I thought you thought I was the worst thing to happen to Magic.
And then Desolator's the worst thing.
Okay, so
the question is, does Chris use Twitter polls to make his corporate decisions?
No, he uses Reddit
he talks
financial
to the
advice.
voices in his head.
He watches Reddit for market prices.
Yep.
Good God.
So while we're on the Wizards train, let's finish this up with the Wizards cash grabbery topic, and we touched on it in the beginning, but I think now that we're bashing on Wizards and talking about this cash grab stuff, I've actually have thought about this quite a bit recently because, we talk about, there's so much up in arms about, oh, Jace was just printed because it's just a cash grab and so on and so forth. But let me put this argument out there, right? So what? Jace the Mind Sculptor is in Masters 25, and it is, quite obviously going to sell packs. But here's the thing. Wouldn't Masters 25 sell anyways? Like, for places like, again, things through the whole topic that we've been talking about, sports and more, all these other places, buyers, sellers, Masters 25 is going to sell no matter what. It doesn't matter if Jace is in there, Jace is unbanned, or whatever it is, people are going to buy it. Whether it's low, whether it's high, it doesn't matter. Look at Iconic Masters, right? Sports and More sold, what, almost 4,000 boxes on eBay? Like, we're talking about the fact that it's a cash grab, but either way, they're going to sell product. And why does it matter, or why is it always a focus that when they put a card in there, or if they unban something and a card is in there, yes, is it kind of that ploy of let's just push it out there more? Sure, but the thing is no matter what, they're going to sell packs, they're going to sell boxes. Why does it matter?
I've never said it's a money grab. If you want to start with me, again, my whole thing was integrity of competition. You shouldn't use an unbanning, or it even shouldn't even look like you're using an unbanning. They should have saw this and said, we can't unban Jace right now because it looked too suspicious. And the Fetchland sold Modern Masters 2017. If they wouldn't have, it wouldn't have sold without it. They need chase cards, and I think this one is Jace. It's too convenient that the packaging had Jace on it and then it's unbanned.
I think it was planned, and this is the thing. Like I still hold to my claim that Jace the Mind Sculptor and Bloodbraid Elf were both printed in Eternal Masters. They were testing the market, or they were testing the formats and testing how they would play together to unban them. You okay there, Des?
I disagree with you, though.
You do?
Just look at Eternal Masters. Yeah, Eternal Masters has a ton of ban cards in it.
No,
I think that Eternal Masters was a way to inject supply that they didn't want, that they knew that they needed to have, but couldn't reprint them in Modern Masters sets. I don't think it has anything to do with testing it to sell Eternal Masters. I think they're like, oh yeah, Jace is never going to be unbanned. Bloodbraid Elf's never going to be banned. Let's make sure we throw it in this Eternal Masters set that's focused on Legacy, which both, by the way, do see Legacy play. And it went around the entire theme of Eternal Masters. So I don't buy the entire, Eternal Masters was a testing phase. There's been people talking about Jace, but the general consensus, even from Wizards, from the last couple of years, has been Jace is still too powerful for Modern. Jace is still too powerful. It wasn't until after this particular tournament, well, look at this. There's some very powerful things you can do in Modern. We don't have a blue control deck that's even close to really putting up the mutters. Oh, we can do Jace. Because it didn't seem that way during Eternal Masters. There was a pretty... wasn't that right around an earlier banning? When was the cruise?
But there was articles.
That's Eldritch Moon. No,
but there was articles right after Eternal Masters, and I have to find them. I didn't have time to look for them before we started streaming, but there were actual articles that were talking about Jace is most likely going to get a ban very soon. Unbanned very soon, and people were already talking about it. Shortly before and after Eternal Masters. And that's where, I don't know. I just, maybe I'm just being hopefully optimistic on their intentions, and I'm blinded by the idea that I wanted Jace unbanned because I think it'd be interesting to see in the Modern format. But I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where I think it was clearly more calculated as opposed to less than being we need to sell packs to in order for this to work. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Make it don't you as a company have the ethical responsibility to make it not look like it though?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess my argument is when is the right time to unban Jace? Whether it's later, whether it's before, I mean, like,
not after a packaging was spoiled for it. That's been my entire argument. Go ahead, unban Jace. Do it.
I guess, yeah.
Well, the ban and restricted announcement was the date was announced like 2 years ago. Like they announced this is when the next one will be. So,
but their packaging came out. Nothing else has been spoiled except for a leak for Phyrexian Obliterator that hasn't 100% been confirmed. They could have waited for their packaging until after the announcement of Jace.
I would agree.
And then
with
people would be like, "Oh, that's suspicious." Then, well, at that point, like I think that'd be a little bit better still. Or like Tara said, let's just wait until people buy out the set, and then you can't be accused of it.
Yeah, I think it's just he was a $50 card, so they threw him in, and he's recognizable.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
he should be.
I
25.
think that's all there is to it. I don't think that the judge program, which they have a high influence on, them and pro players. Like, basically, they decide what gets banned and unbanned, not really Wizards. And then Wizards was like, let's put him in the set because he's worth money. And those people didn't even talk to each other. I don't think there was any planning or collusion. I think it's a coincidence.
25 Jace was in 25 from the beginning. You can go back to some of my videos and I'm saying, okay, what's the most iconic? Liliana and Jace. Those are the two that I definitely... Karn, I think, will be another one in there if they're going to break their 2 Planeswalker per rule. I think
Phyrexian Obliterator will be in there, but also this was a fake. I think it's both. It would be insane for them to not put it in there, but I think the one that got leaked was a Photoshop fake.
Oh, really? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's both.
No, I thought that was at the Pro Tour. Like, I thought it was confirmed at the Pro Tour that was a I wouldn't say spoiler, but, what they call, like, it was,
I don't know. They said they ain't leaking crap till February 26th or something. But that's what they said the first time. Then they leaked 2.5 cards.
No, I think they're gonna start releasing we're gonna start seeing stuff this weekend. I don't think they're gonna wait. That's just my opinion.
Oh, I think they will, because the problem with Iconic Masters is they gave people 79 days to sell off all their cards. They want to surprise people with what these cards are at the last possible second and give them no time to buy list all the cards and crash the price before the release. They don't give a shit what happens, after it.
Thought they're going to start spoiling on the 20th, Monday.
So yeah.
Maybe.
I thought there was a date. It might be it might be the 27th.
Let's see. Oh, I know what page it was on. Let's look it up. Let's see.
Well, I think...
Well, I just wanted to say, I think that both... Des is right about the fact, as far as EV is concerned, it won't have much of an impact. But psychologically, as far as people buying these boxes go, I think we'll have a consumer spike in demand because they're just like, oh, well, now I can have a chance at pulling Jace to use in Modern. I think Jace being in the set alone would have sold him for EDH players and people who may have only had 1 or 2 for Legacy. He would have helped anyways. He is an iconic card. He should have just been an iconic Masters. But okay, so we're celebrating the 25 years of Magic. He would have sold packs anyways. Now he will definitely sell more packs to normies. So while I think you're right about the EV, this definitely is a game changer as far as moving more product to normies.
Well, it only bumps up the EV $17.55 on the dot.
But the EV doesn't. Yeah, the EV doesn't really matter.
Buy a box promo.
Yeah, that would have sold them.
I would have bought a goddamn box. I'd go buy one for my own LGS.
Here's the thing. Like, I've been saying all along, and I still stand by this. And you guys, I'm sure everybody's going to disagree with me. I know Purple did. I know, Kevin, you did last time. I think Masters 25 is going to be a bomb set, and there's going to be so much value in it. It's going to blow 2013 out of the freaking water when it comes to value.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, because I think Iconic Masters was actually like, I think 25 was probably planned before Iconic Masters, and like, oh well, crap, we need to put these, if we don't put Grove of the Burn Willows and Horizon Canopy in something, Modern is just going to be, we can't be having these $90 obscure cards in Modern and think that we can have it be, they don't want it to be Legacy, they want it to be accessible. So I think Iconic Masters was pushed up a year, or just thrown in at that time period to make sure those reprints hit the market. This is the 25 is more, in my opinion, be more reminiscent of Modern Masters 2017, even bigger. I mean, this is their celebration.
Well, did you hear what else they leaked about Masters 25? Like the one detail that they released all of a sudden out of nowhere?
No.
You guys should watch my channel. They are going to include one card from every... They didn't say every set, but they said like every major set release, whatever that means. But isn't that like 80? I mean, that's like almost all the cards in the damn set. So remember, Modern Masters was always targeting like 2 blocks. So it was like, here, have some crap with this mechanic on it. But now this is going to be just all over the place. So they probably just picked the most expensive cards and just threw them in. I mean, because there's no pattern.
I think it was, I don't have my notes around me, but I think it was 68 major sets that each individual, so that they would have printings. And I don't think they were including Alpha, Beta, Revised, and it was 4th edition on.
Okay.
They're
all the same damn cards anyway.
Yeah,
see, I don't remember if it was MTG Purple that put this into my head or MTG Lion, but I think that Iconic Masters and M25 were once one set, and Hasbro came in and said, "We need more freaking money. Our Star Wars toys aren't selling, so we want more. Give us more." I think they split all the good cards that they were going to have in M25 into this new set they called Iconic Masters, and then they just added a bunch of fluff. So I think they're going to be 2 milquetoast sets. And the reason why I think it's a scam with the whole Jace thing is because they did Iconic Masters, now they have to artificially increase the perceived value of the set because they've shot themselves in the foot by splitting into 2 master sets instead of 1 really good master set.
That's like the conspiracy theory to end all conspiracy theories. I love it because it's so real. Conjoined twins.
Look back at Iconic Masters. Nothing makes sense in Iconic Masters because it looks like a desperation set that's saying, okay, we can't foreseeably reprint these cards in anything that's coming out, because all those cards are quite clunky. You can't throw them in even Modern Master sets with a theme. So they're like, oh, yeah, what needs reprinted in Commander and Modern? Slap it on Iconic Masters, throw a Demons, Dragons, Angels theme to it. Cool. Like even the draft format wasn't that good. It was just so...
Iconic Masters has fucking Khans of Tarkir cards in it, for Christ's sake.
Well, yeah, they were the filler ones that just tried to kind of seal the cards it needed. Because imagine even cards like Horizon Canopy or Mishra's Bauble. Like, Mishra's Bauble was a recent card that took off, too. That was just jammed in there. It has no rhyme or reason to be in there. Iconic Masters was basically, we need reprints, .set. Was it? I think this Masters 25 is not only going to be a good set that's just not haphazardly throwing 1 card from each set, but it's also going to be a very good draft environment and have a nice theme to it. That's my prediction. So I think
that's the other thing. You have to be able to draft it. Like they keep saying it's draft, and they usually do make it fair to draft, except for Jace.
That's why I like Phyrexian Obliterator, because that's just a huge signal that we're probably going to see a lot of really, really Hypnotic Spectre, possibly.
Yep.
Because Mono Black Devotion has been a very, very fan favorite type archetype since Theros. Like, that was the big hallmark of Theros. So I think that they're going to really want to say, okay, how can we showcase that? I think they're going to take, instead of really focusing on the sets themselves, is they will definitely need to find a card from every set, but that's not hard. People in Cube do that. So, if Burn's going to be their other one, they've got a huge array of cards that they can take from the history of Magic, and
Hypnotic Spectre alone was in Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised, and then 10, and then I think 2010.
Yeah, the cores are easy to get a card from. In fact, they could probably just even ignore cores because most of those are reprints. So,
yeah, that's true.
They do have a few. I guess the end of the cores, the later on in the cores, they tried to have. When was the big change? Was that M10 when they were like, we're going to have the reverse? We want actually more new cards than reprints, because I think Magic 2010 or Magic 10, whatever, X10, whatever that one is.
Magic 2010.
Well,
Magic
M10.
X, Magic X
M10
was
right?
the last regular core
Yeah.
set
Yeah.
of
and
the
that had a lot
traditional
of
model.
reprints.
Yeah,
And
and it was black bordered, right?
Yep.
It almost brought me back into Magic because I had gone on break after Time Spiral because I hated that block so much, and it was X that almost brought me back. But I decided that I enjoyed banging my Ukrainian girlfriend and being in college more, so that's what I did instead.
That's the
Dude,
time.
some of the best cards are in 10th edition, man. I'm constantly going to 10th for my modern decks.
Crucible Worlds, man.
Ooh, pretty.
That's
See, I have 2 from Mirrodin, so I'm good.
I so want Crucible Worlds to be in Masters 25. So real quick, I want to wrap this up. I can't believe we've been actually on the stream for like 2 hours. So I think
Dude, Kev does like 6-hour marathons. the rumor is he's actually a robot.
those are, I haven't been doing them lately. Those are taxing. But yeah.
In the first hour and a half, nobody told me you guys could hear me clearing my throat.
Oh, by the way,
Thanks, I really appreciate that.
I was like, you
'Cause
got a
it's like-
condenser mic. That's a nice ass mic.
It is. But it's like, because I thought this whole time I've been playing with my headset because I thought I was muting myself. And here I've been talking into my blue condenser mic this entire time. And I'm just like, oh, God
Oh,
damn
shit,
it.
you gotta get some comments.
I mean, I don't think it was that. I don't think it was bad. I mean, like I don't know. Well,
I thought you were dying.
Look, I had the flu. I just got over the flu. And that's why I've been so congested. And it's just like, oh, my God. So
Every
embarrassing.
time a customer walks in who's sick, I just Lysol him in the face. I'm not gonna catch anything this season, and I've gone the whole winter with no flu so far.
Honestly, I think this just goes to show how accepting of trannies the Magic community actually is. It's just like, fuck it, it's just a tranny. Don't worry about it.
no.
Wait, who's a tranny?
You are, Kevin. Didn't you know? We found out your secret. That beard is all fake. It's all pills and hormone shots.
Yeah. Wait. I thought those were all plugs, right? Kevin?
It's actually CGI. It's traced in real time, like the Superman mustache.
Oh man, where did the stream go? Like, what just happened?
I'm saving my stream derailing tactics for the very end here. Hey, what do you guys think about politics and religion and abortion?
Oh no, let's not go there.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm more conservative than Desolator when I watch his videos. I'm just kind of like,
Oh, I doubt it.
So I've done many like videos. Well, many I mean like 3 videos with Desolator, and like our offline chat is way better than what we actually put on camera or like on screen. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh yes, I'm completely insane in person. Ask Jeremy how freaking crazy and weird I am in person compared to with editing or with some kind of filter.
Oh man. So let's go ahead and finish this and sort of just round this whole conversation out. Jace the Mind Sculptor, in my opinion, is going to stay in the format for at least a couple of years. I don't think he's going to be unbanned within the first year. And he might be around for a while. I don't know. But this is just me thinking and being very optimistic about the people that brew and people who want to see Jace in the format yet not break the format. But I don't know, whatever. I mean, you know, only time will tell. We won't know for probably 3 to 6 months if Jace is bad for the modern format. But I'd like to go around the room and have everybody else sort of give your final thoughts about Jace the Mind Sculptor, unbanning, and how you really feel truly about the Boogeyman being back in the modern format. So let's go ahead and start with Tara.
I think that because we have all these net decking douchebags, as Desolator would call it, that he's going to warp the entire format and then get banned again in 6 months. But as far as his power level goes, if you didn't have the fact that he's going to warp the format around just popularity, then I don't think he'd be that big of a deal. I think he'd find a healthy place. So the real question will turn into, is Wizards going to ban him just on the fact that he's oversaturated within just play, not actual win ratios? So we'll see.
Desolator.
I think because everything in Modern takes forever. I mean, just the meta shifts are like a glacier, although lately it's been changing like crazy. But once it settles in and once one popular person does something with him and then everybody copies them because that's what they do in Modern. And, you know, net decking is more forgivable in Modern because there are established best decks. But anyway, I think that he's going to settle into certain decks really, really slowly. Like, nobody's going to just put it in a deck tomorrow and then go to a GP with it. But when he finally does make it into the meta and people start playing with him, everybody's just going to complain about him because that's all he ever did when he was in Standard, and arguably the brief period that he was arguably maybe sort of in Modern, maybe depending upon who you ask. I can't believe we're debating whether or not he was legal in Modern at some point, because we have very strong evidence that he was and very strong evidence that he wasn't, and it's contradictory, and that seems odd to me, but he dominated the tournaments that he was at. So I think as soon as he finds a place, it's going to take a while. People are going to be like, wait, nobody's playing this. Price is going to plummet, and then it's going to go right back up because everyone will be like, oh shit, people play it now. And then it'll just be, oh crap, now we got to deal with this. You know, that's wonderful. And then it's just going to be complaints, and the Wizards will, for ego reasons, not want to reban him because not only is he really expensive, they'll just destroy value, but people they'll have to admit that they were wrong, and people will be like, oh look, Wizards made a mistake, because everybody's saying right now Wizards made a mistake. So yeah, I think it's going to be bad. It's going to go from bad to worse to worse.
And to finish us out and close us out on the stream, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank Tara, Kevin, and Desolator for joining us. Kevin, round us out on this thought.
I think Wizards would rather die on the Jace hill than reban it. When it was Nikado versus Tarmogoyf, of course Nikado was the problem. If Jace ever becomes a problem, I think Wizards can be too proud to actually reban it due to the destruction of value and the consumer confidence and whatnot. I hate Jace because rest in peace, Dragon Lord Ojatai. Rest in peace. What's some other anything that used to go in that Jace Architect of Thought now is never going to ever see play again. We had a lot of diverse 4-drops that played that role. They're all strictly worse than Jace. So if they like diversity, they just did a huge FU to diversity, especially for control decks. So you reap what you sow. So this is just bad. Bad design is bad design. Just I have no problem with keeping cards banned just because they're just not. There's bad design cards. So I think they're not going to ban it.
Well, I thank everybody for joining us on the stream. The chat has been extremely entertaining, and there's several times that I've caught myself almost laughing my, off.
I think 120 at one point.
Yeah,
congrats!
It's been a pretty awesome stream, and I thank all of you guys, meaning Kevin and Tara and Desolator, for putting the word out. And this has been probably my favorite stream that I've done, just for the fact that we've had so much chatter and so many people involved that it's been, for me, it's just like, wow, what's going on? So this is great. Thank you all for joining us. If you like what we are doing here and you want to check out also these guys, they really work really hard at their channels as well. The links are below for their channels. Please go subscribe to their content, and I watch them all the time. And please, I wanted to say thank you all for joining. Have a great night. We will see you next time.